Good morning, this is Susan Cousino. This is the office hour for Oregon State University PDC-PRO Fall 2022. This is call number 10, and the next lesson due is assignment 10 on March 6th. And this is the final assignment. Good morning, iPhone. Oh. I can choose. Good morning. Oh.
Hello, Professor. Good morning.
Oh, good morning. Who is this?
This is Damien. Do you
Oh,
have
hi,
Zoom
Damien.
today?
Yeah, you're on as, oh, you're muted. I'm saying you're muted.
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're showing up as iPhone. So I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I'm on bar right now. Got a dentist appointment at 11.
Okay.
But I don't see more people in here.
You are seeing more people in here?
I don't. That's why
Oh, no, it's just you. So far, just you.
Wondering. Okay.
Yeah, I'll make him a few minutes.
Okay.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah. I'm fine with the assignments.
You're doing fine. You're breaking up a little bit. So you're doing fine with assignments? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm on bar right now and then underground.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Yeah, we've got spring break next week, which is nice. Nice to take a little breather. Just trying to organize windows and everything on a desktop here. Yeah, actually, I'm really excited about how everyone's projects are looking and like ideas people are coming up with. That's really nice. We'll have another cohort starting soon. That's always fun. I think the rain is pretty much wrapped up for a while, which, you know, is mostly a positive, I think, right now. So we're pretty saturated. Yeah.
So you're living in California too?
Yeah, we're about 60 miles north of LA.
Oh, okay. But the north, I'm in Richmond.
Pardon me?
I'm by Richmond area. I'm more to the north.
Oh,
Richmond,
okay. Richmond.
Yeah, near San Francisco, like 30 minutes from San Francisco.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Did you have any questions today, Damien, or are you just kind of showing up to see what others have got? Which is also fine.
Up and see what's coming up.
Okay. And we are on. Oh, you know what? We are actually on. I even got. I've been recording everything, but then you showed up and I kind of respond to you. So this is the office hour call for. I just want to double check this before I say this for sure, but we're on the call for the fall 2022 group.
Yeah. I'm assuming in the wrong place. Yeah. I was reading about the paper, but I couldn't tell if that was my group or not.
Yeah. So we're on the call for the fall 2022. So you're welcome to stick around, but we're focusing on lesson 10.
Okay. So then I just go. I need to go to the dentist anyway. So thank you so much.
Okay.
So nice
all right. Have a nice. Yeah.
Bye. You too. Bye bye.
Okay. Hi, Linda.
Good morning.
Elena.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, I love those spots.
It's
Oh.
okay. I'm safe. Thank you. Get down. Get down. When I say HELLO, he thinks somebody has come to the house and he must protect.
Ah, I see. Yeah, yeah.
Sorry about that.
Healer cross. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Okay. I was just having a little chat with a student from the other cohort. And then we were kind of talking, and I was like, wait a minute. No. we got weeks flipped around. So I kind of respond to whoever shows up, which was fine. We had a nice little chat, but his connection was pretty bad. So he figured he'd bow out, which means I can close this window. Yeah.
So when I was searching for, other schools or people that do permaculture design, I found Quail something. And
Quail Springs Permaculture?
And it was you. You were on there.
Yeah. I've been involved with them for a while. I'm currently board chair, which I think sounds loftier than it's really like. I stuck around the longest, so I got the seat. Yeah, Quail Springs is great. We've changed a lot in the last few years due to compliance issues with the county. Because there's a large natural building component to the community.
Right.
And the county was needs some of those buildings to come into compliance. So we've been dealing with that. We've actually just basically been waiting on responses from the county for about 2 years. So currently there's very limited, there are options, but they're very limited for bringing people onto the property, like for workshops and such, but there's some online programs that we have. Yeah.
So I have been out to, I think it was in Taos, to the Earthship community. And they had said, it's a little different in California because of the regulations with the use of tires or something like that. I just feel like, is it regulations pertaining to like earthquake, sort of compliance?
Kind of multifaceted. Yeah. And I'm not deeply involved in the compliance conversation, but right. Yeah, my understanding is it's a combination of fire safety and earthquake safety, right. Primarily, and then just like general structural stuff, that building inspectors like to get really picky about. Right. But yeah, for instance, most of our coding upgrades have been around fire safe exits and earthquake compliance. So. And then like fire access to the property. So we're looking at whether or not we're going to have to do some like major road upgrades and like re-rocking of the road, gravel and that sort. Yeah, but that's primarily, but it's coming into it's getting put into code gradually, kind of piece by piece. And there's a few people that are really worth reaching out to, which I actually drop names. If you go into the document, the Google Doc, let me see, the last call with the other group was call number 4. So I'm going to go down there because we were talking specifically about natural building in California. I'm such an advocate. I'm like, one of the guys is really building on raw land. We're starting from scratch. And, he's like, oh, I want to do a passive solar approach. And I'm like, well, there's the design of the building, which takes into account the passive solar, and to a certain extent, that incorporates some of the construction because you're using like passive, like thermal mass to collect heat and then to like dissipate it and everything, or to redistribute it. But really there's like passive solar and like the design aspect. And then there's like, say, the natural building approach, which is using like really, local materials like monolithic adobe or cob or whatever. So we did put some, let me see, Mark Trenkle. Oh, maybe it was. Oh, interesting. Maybe they didn't, maybe I didn't get the questions over. Ooh, I gotta update that. Usually I go through the transcript and get the questions put into the Q&A document, and I haven't got to that yet. So, and it didn't make it on my to-do list. So, but the nice thing is that those are fresh in my mind. So he's Michelle, but Mike, Barbado at UC Davis. So Sasha Rabin and John Orcutt are people with Quail Springs. However, they had to move off-site in the fall because of they've got family stuff coming up. They also just had a baby like within the last month. So they're a little bit, I think they're pretty much offline at the moment, but they're Earth and Shelter on Instagram. And they're super knowledgeable. And they're the ones that have been conducting the fire testing. I think it was with UT, so University of Texas, actually doing some really like very rigorous fire testing and earthquake testing of different cob walls. And they got some really interesting, like very promising and very interesting results. Fire testing in Texas. And then supporting them on that was, and Art Ludwig has actually been a huge support in terms of our compliance. So when you look at his website, when you look at Art Ludwig's website, if you just look him up, he looks like mostly gray water, but does a lot of architectural stuff he's been a major advocate and knowledge source, point person on natural building. Okay.
Well, gray water information would be really good too.
Also, yeah. So there you go. Okay, I just dropped those all in the chat.
Okay. Great.
I'm going to just quickly copy those in. I'm curious why those didn't make it in.
Oh my God, I gotta let this boy out.
Okay, that's fine.
You did it.
How are you doing, Elena?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Trying to finish by next Monday the whole, like I have some lessons that I didn't finish, so kind of trying to do that. And yeah, other than that, pretty good.
I want to see what your official March 19th. So really officially, yeah, your last date is the 19th. Yeah, so that would be yeah. So you've really, I mean, the assignment deadline is for Monday, but do know that your course runs until the 19th. So if you need that extra few days, you've got it to work with. So if you want to, if you want to go back and polish anything up or,
yeah, that's great. I was going to ask you this question, and also I'm kind of like you commented different slides through our course, and I didn't go and reply and like kind of ask you questions why like you or like whatever. And I was going to ask you if we have time, if I can still ask you questions or reply to your comments in the presentation. And I guess like by until 19th, I have time, right, to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, September. Yeah, so March 19th. You started on September 26th. Yes. So my only comment would be to get it in the earlier you get it in, the more likelihood, the more opportunity I'm going to have to catch it and respond. Wave all your red flags. If you're making comments and asking questions, like make sure, just like give me some heads up, because I don't necessarily get a notification. You can always like do you know how to assign something to somebody? Like, you do the @ symbol and then an email when you're making
in the presentation or just in email?
Yeah. No, in Google Slides, you can make a comment and then you do like an @ symbol in the email, and I should get a notification of that. But also send me an email, just say like, hey, I made some comments in my presentation, and then I can go back and find them, whatever you can do to help me find those
Okay.
helps. So
Sounds great. Yeah, I will email you for sure. Yeah, once
Okay.
I'm done. Mhm.
Okay. I can't believe we're at the end of the course already.
Yeah.
It's just like, it feels like it's kind of just flown by.
It really has. It really
Right?
has. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Elena, is your property the one that you have the retaining wall in the back?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I think that's going to be such an amazing space to work with. You could really, really do some amazing things with that.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know, like I actually, like when I was working on the zone 1, and Susan, I get comment from you, like it's basically you said like, yeah, what you're doing is a good start. And I was like, we have stone around our house and this hill, and like, I don't know what should I do? Like what I'm doing wrong. Like, I don't know, it's just, it feels like you, for example, Linda, has like this beautiful land, flat land, where you can just do whatever. And with these retaining walls and this hill, I'm so like confused. And I don't know, like, and I don't know, permaculture principles like with water retaining and like other like climate microclimates, understanding microclimates, but besides that I kind of lost, and I don't know what other principles I can use on my property. So but yeah, anyway, thank you so much. It's I think it's a really interesting space and land to start with and design it. Yeah.
But I think it seems like I've been looking at a lot of urban agriculture and things like that, and using more vertical gardening, which, you know, is great for smaller spaces. And you have such a great, especially with the wooden retaining wall, to be able to do some vertical gardening. I mean, and like, I think you were saying you wanted to put a hammock back there and that, and you could have this great space with this immense vertical garden of lush greenery. I think it could be really, really amazing.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
do you want to tackle any of those specifics, Elena? I'm going through your presentation right now, looking at comments and just looking for anything that, but if there's anything you really want to tackle right now.
Yeah, I guess like I was, if you can give me more information. I'm right now on the slide 114. It's zone 1, main goal, patterns and strategies. And like, if you can talk more about your comment and like what I can do in a different way, or I don't know, with the soil.
So you said 114?
Yes, yes.
Where I said always a good step if you're not sure where to go with the next.
Yeah, it's like soil. I think it was comment about the soil, right?
Yes. Yeah. So if you're not sure what to do, build soil.
Oh, okay.
Most things. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So if you're not sure what you want to plant, if you're not sure what you want to plant, or if you want to plant somewhere, just work on building soil. Like getting moisture in it.
Also, like, yeah, speaking about soil in this specific level, like kind of bed or retaining wall. So I made this soil test, and water drains so fast. It's basically like in less than a few minutes, it just goes down. So I read a lot about like that it's a lot like water drains. It's actually not really great thing, because it like all chemicals doesn't stay in the soil, and I need to do something. So this soil will collect water, right? And one of the steps is to put a lot of organic matter. That's how I like. This is what I to what conclusion I came after reading all this, like how to improve your soil drainage. So because the water drains so fast. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking from a wrong angle, and maybe it's absolutely totally like normal that the water drains fast, and it's actually a benefit, and I don't need to do anything with the soil. If you have any
no,
on this?
yeah. So basically, you're almost never going to go wrong by adding organic matter.
That's
I can't.
true.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to go back to your soil survey. And things are loading really slowly. But you had really, I mean, you've obviously, if you've got very fast drainage, you've got very sandy soils, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, we have
so, so what, I mean, there's a couple of different things. I mean, you could just keep mulching things down, but I mean, when you've got, say, like how many feet deep? I'm trying to see, like, I'm trying to, yeah, just come up, like, I'm trying to get a good angle, just a good idea just from looking at the pictures you've provided.
Yeah, it tests.
Oh, here you go. Here's your soil samples.
It's number one.
Number one. Okay.
Number one.
Yeah. So, what you can do is you can start digging. You can basically start building like hugel beds. Like you can dig down, say, dig them down like 2 or 3 feet. You can, or like whatever you've got energy for, right? I mean, don't. But if you can get down a couple of feet and lay down, like, you can get like discarded avocado wood, if you can get oak wood, like any kind of like ideally large pieces of wood, and get those like layering and build like a pretty solid base of wood, and then start like layering in, you can add compost back into that. So you're basically doing like a lasagna mulch under the surface, because the thing with hugels in our climate, where it's relatively hot and dry and we've got a long dry period, is that yes, they soak up water great when there's water, but then they dry out a lot quicker. So we're actually better off doing like more like a basin bed. So if you build that down and get like a really dense wooden layer, that'll at least slow down your infiltration enough that you can plant on top of it, and then over time all that stuff's going to break down, and then you're going to be adding more organic material. So what you might see it doing is that, like, I mean, this is just going to gobble up any kind of organic material that you put on top. So it's going to keep like sinking down, and you just keep adding compost and adding mulch and more plant matter, whatever you can get. But that would be my strategy for dealing with like a really sandy soil area. And also choosing plants that are like that tend to warm towards more sandy soil, more fast draining soils. Like, the further you get from like what the conditions are, like the more you try to push things towards something that you want, and it's in the opposite direction of what you actually have, the more work you're going to have to do to make up that gap. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes.
Yeah. So, if it's something you can turn into like more of like a Mediterranean herb bed or something, those do tend to do better in like drier, well-drained, sandy soils. But the point about losing a lot of the chemicals, losing a lot of the nutrients is correct. Like that, those do leach very quickly. You see that in tropical environments. You'll have like a thin layer of like very, very rich organic matter on top, and the soils are so old, they've been leached so much because there's so much rainfall that all the nutrient just gets washed out, and all of the nutrients and the biomass are actually in the trees and in the vegetation. So it's a similar situation where everything just kind of gets leached out of that sandy soil. So
thank you. Yeah, absolutely helpful. And I guess like I need to revise my plant selection for this level, because I already went through and chose flowers, because my idea is to create urban flower garden there, and I was choosing plants more like drought tolerant, but now I need to go and check what kind of soil they prefer. That I think that probably will delete and remove some options from my list. But yeah, it's helpful.
Okay. So I'm just looking back. Yeah, so you really nailed your building survey, the zone 1 design. Okay, yeah, so you've still got some parts there.
Yeah,
and then so some of the previous assignments are still,
yes,
there's some gaps. Okay, all right, that's fine. I just want to
And
make sure.
actually, with that plant design system, so we have this one of the systems that I would like to do on the top is swales, and we talked about boomerang swales, and then I was kind of walking around the property, and I realized that we have so we had like a forest back there. Then we cut all that oak trees, and right now basically we have this this hill, and there are just like tree stands, and that's it. And like I was trying to understand how to make these swales and go through, like you need to dig, right? And it's impossible to dig because we have all these oak stems that are really, really matured, and I don't know how to go, like how to work in this environment, how to create these swales, boomerang swales, because like we're going to do it by ourselves, and I don't think that I am physically capable of digging around or trying to get rid of the stems, and I'm not sure my husband will do the same. So can you recommend, or like what should we do in this in regard with this creating swales when you have absolutely enormous amount of tree stumps?
Yeah, you could build, I mean, you can build up around them. So you can do what I've seen, and it depends how close they are, but you can
really
actually,
cool.
yeah, okay, so you can actually use like logs, you know, like kind of like get a log butted up against two stumps, and then kind of like backfill it with organic material that'll break down, and then you'll kind of wind up with like a little terrace. So it's not going to be the same as like a swale necessarily, but just things that will like catch and hold material from sliding down the hill, and then that when you do get water, that's going to soak in.
Yeah.
So what you'd want to do is like prior to the next rainy season, make sure that that's not just like a bunch of like loose like leafy material. Like make sure it's actually kind of like breaking down. You can put some like vertical stakes in it to help hold things. Like, have you ever looked at like where a chain link fence is on the bottom of a slope? And it gets all, you know, especially in like avocado orchards, you see this all the time, and like all the leaves have built up. And if you see one that's been there for a long time, you'll see this like there's like branches and like soil built up underneath all those leaves. So you kind of want to make the same thing and just create some sort of a catchment. So yeah, if you can't dig down, then don't. Then create something up above. Yeah, and that'll help stuff infiltrate down too, because it'll just like hold water there for, you know, for long enough that it'll soak down when you do.
So the other problem is that this stems, they have new growth, and we try to cut them, and like I was also like thinking, okay, I will put something on top, but they are really like they want to leave. They're not going anywhere. And they like we already have we cut them last like May, and we already have really big growth on that, like going through like from that stem. So I'm kind of like, I guess we were drilling holes. Somebody told us that it might help to stop spreading, but it didn't help. It still grows. We have new branches coming from the stems, and yeah. So maybe like if you cut new growth and put something a lot of like wood, or create some kind of structure on top, maybe it will help. I don't
probably keep coming through. And these are oaks though, right?
Yeah, oaks are like all live oak. California life.
So you were talking earlier, like way back in the course, like months ago, about having regretted cutting those trees, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so is there an option to, at least for some of them, because sometimes what you can do, this is actually like a reforestation strategy that's worked really well in dry parts of the world, is instead of trying to cut all of them back, pick like a couple that are kind of in the center. And if you cut the branches off around that, the tree will tend to like focus its energy on those ones coming up. Is that an option?
Yeah, it's actually an option. We kind
Okay.
we already have this plan. We already planned like where we will put our fruits garden, where we will have this like
Mhm.
and other things. But I think we can go back and think maybe we'll get some trees back to life. And
Yeah.
I think my question a few months ago, it was like, it feels like we did something wrong and we shouldn't
Mhm.
touch that forest. And I was basically trying to get some information from you, like, did we really like made really
Devastating.
harmed our backyard, or it's okay and we can just like create something new and with more like soil erosion control and basically create something good or better for that piece of land, because like
Mhm.
soil is really bad when we cut all these trees. It's like it's basically sand, and that's it. No organic matter, nothing.
Yeah. Um, well, it's really low in organic matter.
Mhm.
We don't touch soil here. It's not good or bad, but there's really low organic material. You've got a high infiltration rate. So, and you've got live oak. I mean, live oak trying to come back.
Yeah.
So for me personally, I'd be rejigging my plans to make it work around what obviously wants to happen on your site. Now, if that, it's a little bit different if it's like some sort of like something toxic coming up or something that's going to really create a hazard. But I would see if your plans can kind of work around this a little bit, because I mean, one of the, if it's, let's see, I need more better pictures. Like more, I need to flip back a little bit and see. Oh, you know what? This is really boring for anyone watching the replay. I always have to keep this in mind. I'm going to do a share. Do you mind if I do a share screen on your assignment?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Something.
Okay. So here we are. So now we're screen sharing. So I'm told anyway. I hope Linda, can you see her screen now?
Yes.
Okay.
What do you want?
This is the inspiration, right?
Yeah, so this is what we had before.
Yeah. Oh, wait. You're telling me. No, that's not what you had before. That's okay. That's clearly a different site. Okay, but here's what you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
So are these pictures like in this panoramic view of the backyard, these trees are gone now?
Yeah. And if you go to lesson 9, I think. If you go down, down.
Lesson 9 or slide 9?
Yeah, also slide 33.
The current zones?
Yeah, slide
Oh, slide
33.
33.
You can see what was before.
I see. Yeah,
So,
okay. Right.
and yeah, if you go back to that images that what we we removed, yeah, it was.
Yeah, okay. So somewhere in between there, I mean, this retaining wall is obviously failing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And we
it's coming up.
removed it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now you've replaced it with that rock wall, with
Yes.
the brick
Yes.
wall, rather. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, going back up here, you could get another terrace in there.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I would let some of those trees come back,
Mm-hmm.
manage the understory more. Like, what I'm seeing in those later pictures is just overgrowth. It's just like it wasn't managed. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's a fire hazard, but you could have a middle ground. so you could have some stuff coming back.
Yeah.
Really keep pruning it so that you're just got like 1 or 2 key stems.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got a friend with like goats or sheep, I'm sure they'd be happy to cart that stuff away for you. But you can also bury it, make sure it's dried out, dead, and then bury it. Or dry it for firewood, and stick wood, burn it. Yeah, I would start letting some of that stuff come back in a managed way, just like just manage it as it comes back, and try and let those trees like funnel that growth activity into 1 or 2 branches. Because somebody explained it to me. I believe it was Mark Krofchick, who just did a coppice agroforestry course. I worked with him about 10 years ago, and I remember him saying something about like how basically when you cut a tree off, all that energy and this is true for like, you get those runners, the water sprouts, right? When you cut a tree back, all of that energy is just trying to get out. So it will find like any break in the system to start funneling through. And so if you give it nothing, if you just chop everything off, it's going to come out in all directions. But if you give it like a few decent places to go through, it'll start channeling up through there, and you'll still get like little side sprouts and stuff that you can manage, but gradually those will kind of like either die off, or they'll just really become like minor parts of that tree. But if you can funnel a lot of that energy into like more like a trunk system, then you can let it grow up, and then you can start trimming like more for canopy than that like really short bushy growth.
Yeah, I guess, we need to think about that. We kind of like, we remove them, and we kind of want to recreate our own garden. So like, for example, on that third level where there's nothing right now, we were thinking to plant, I don't know, like some trees like olive tree and maybe some fruit tree, persimmon. But maybe we will also get them back, the oaks, local oaks.
Yeah, I mean, you could also, getting the stumps out.
It's really.
I'm not a big fan of poisoning anything out of the ground that wants to live, especially in this climate, right? So, yeah, I guess that's what I would be doing is just managing like small trees and letting them come up.
Yeah, thank you. It's good. It's good. The idea is great. I will definitely think about this more. And I need to go back and see. I will probably see the pattern, like what already is growing fast, and maybe that's we will keep on the property. Yeah, that's amazing.
Okay. Glad I could help. All right. Okay, Linda, what about you? Do you have any specifics?
Actually, going back to, and this has nothing to do with you, but I don't know if you have any ideas. I still can't get the elevations on Google Earth that I get to get those contour lines. And I don't know what has changed. I think before I was using the poly tool, and using the altitude, and then just kind of in the corner, the lower right corner, it would tell the altitude. So as I would move my cursor around, I knew, okay, this is at 1,200 feet. And then you go here, yep, that's still 1,200. And then I got all my contour lines for the property. And I was trying to do it on a specific space. And for the life of me, I'm not getting that. And I don't know if it's just me or if it's anybody else, but I can't get the contour lines any longer.
So you're not talking like the elevation profile. You're talking the
the elevation, so that I can, draw those lines on there so that I can see how my property, where the, when you did the water flow, when we did the watershed stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anybody else has had an issue with that, or.
I feel like, we did. I think, anyway, I know another student brought it up.
So did something just change with?
She was talking more about the elevation profile.
Well, the elevation,
which is
in terms
different.
of putting in, so earlier in the project, you know, when I had all the elevation lines put on there, when we did the watershed section
Mhm.
and how to determine, you know, where the water was going on all the property, I used the poly tool, and then I think I clicked on altitude or whatever it was. And then
Yeah.
not this red chunk down here. That gets really,
Okay, so yeah, that's not what you wanted. Okay, and that comes out of the ruler.
yes.
But
So let's see, if you were to do,
I'm just trying to shrink my window. Oh, here we go.
yeah.
A little more talking space here. Okay.
So
Okay, so not that, but I'm still, oh, you know what?
I mean,
Here we go. Look at this. Polygon. So this is really weird. When I just had it, I swear
I
it
saw it.
only shows up when I'm full screen. I think.
down in
Oh no,
that,
it's,
see, and down in that lower right corner,
yeah.
you see, that's where I was looking, and that was guiding my cursor. So when I started that little polyline, I would click on a spot, so say 1,200 feet, and then
Yeah.
as I move along, I keep watching that corner, and then click always on 1,200 feet, so that I could get the elevation map out. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I wasn't doing it
I
the right
do.
way, but it worked really well. And now it's not updating that elevation in the corner, so I can't draw like
I
a,
see.
what's that?
That's really interesting. Yeah, I mean, I get like GIS data so to get my contour, so I've never done, but you're right. Okay.
And it used to do it. I mean, it was brilliant. It worked perfectly.
Let me ask the other folks and see like if there's like something that changed and I didn't realize. Let me see.
And if so, you know, what we should be using, because I feel like that's like the first, I have a friend who's got some water problems on her property. And I thought, oh, just as a surprise, this is what brought it up again. I'm like, oh, let me try to see where her water's flowing. And again, I tried everything to try to get
Okay.
those lines on there. And I feel like for, you know, this kind of work, you kind of need to know where the water's going, you know, I mean, or,
Oh yeah, oh for sure. Okay. I don't know if you can open it up at the same time, but if the terrain layer is not checked in your terrain
okay, let me
or
just,
in the layers window, now it gives, yeah. That's
you're
what it
able
is.
to do it.
Mhm.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, it's updating. If I do a poly, yeah.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
So where's the, oh, terrain, okay. I don't
Yeah.
think we can do it at the same time. Let's see. Google Pro. So, okay, terrain. Okay. And then altitude.
Yeah, this I'm trying to find the,
And it's not updating for me, but okay, let's see. Terrain.
interesting.
So, and then did you do the poly tool or?
Yep, I was just using the poly tool.
Oh,
So
hallelujah.
Yay!
Yay!
It's so funny. It's I guess I just like maybe I set default to have that checked or something, that I'd never had that issue. So
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
Linda,
All
can
right,
you share your
perfect.
screen? Can you share your screen? I kind of try to understand what you look like, what you found, because I had also the same kind of issues, and I understand. I'm trying to understand if it's the same or not. Or Susan, maybe you will show.
Yeah, I think
Oh
I showed
yeah,
up.
yeah. You don't want me trying to share a screen.
Oh, sorry.
Oh dear. Okay. I'm just going to go to. It doesn't even matter where you go. Let's just zoom all the way in. So
I don't see
trying to
that
see.
the screen. It doesn't move for me. Did you just zoom in?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Are you seeing my screen? You should
Yeah,
be seeing my Google Earth right now.
Yeah, but it's not moving.
it's not moving. Yeah.
Okay. So can you see it now if I zoom it in more?
It's,
It doesn't move for me. Sorry.
it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still distant.
It's still like the standard Earth. Oh,
Yeah.
that's strange.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do a stop share and then I'll share again. Okay. What about now?
Oh yeah. Now I see.
Now? Okay.
Mhm.
So I can't get this to come up any larger. But way down to the far right corner, there's the elevation number. So there's elevation 4,595 feet, and then the I altitude is 59 whatever miles. If you go over to layers on the left-hand side here, which I just made disappear, very bottom, there's terrain. Make sure that's checked on. So when you check it off, this doesn't change. It just sits at 0 feet. When you change to terrain, it gives you the elevation. And I'm working on my desktop, and I don't seem to be able to have the Zoom like annotation capabilities that I usually have if I have on my laptop. So otherwise, I'd be circling that and say like right here. But did you see what I meant with the terrain?
Yes. Thank you so
Okay.
much. That's. I mean, I found it with the ruler, the elevation change, but it's so much easier. It's like you can just like do your property and you can see the change.
Yeah. Did you guys look up, or Linda, did you look up county data? You should have GIS data for your area.
Yeah, and the contour lines especially, you don't need to create.
What do you mean? The county has it?
Yeah, because most, especially coastal California.
You know what? I think I vaguely remember that from way back. I think the architect left some, the original contour map with the original architectural plans. So I had that on hand, but no, I didn't look it up on.
Okay.
To get an updated copy. I should do that. Okay. County.
I'll do a screen share here to show you it. So I just searched, like I just pop in the address and then GIS data. Sometimes I'll put county GIS data. Oh, and they actually want LiDAR data. Yeah, free LiDAR maps. Oh, no, this is not what I want. This is somebody else's. Don't want sponsored ads. Should have a county, not San Marcos. Yeah, so you should always be able to find something. Oh, here we go. Okay, so SLO County Open GIS data.
Okay.
Also going to access. Yeah, because some of it should all have LiDAR now. Oh, this is a presentation. Gotcha. So you want planning land use.
So you're on.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to, you kind of have to search around for it. Let's see what she took. Okay, if this isn't going to come up, trails, water basins. Sometimes it's a GIS survey map. I'm not going to spend too much time poking around on Zoom on this right now, but if you want to, and I'm happy to help you out if you have any trouble finding it. But sometimes it does just take it's an hour. It can be an hour of digging to find like, oh, this is what I actually want.
Okay, actually that looks like really good. I'm just trying to. The letters are tiny on there, so it's slowcounty.ca.gov.
gis.slowcounty.ca.gov.
GIS.
Oh, here's the Cal Poly website. You know, at some point when I get like a little bit of extra time, because right now 90% of my students, 95% of my students are California. I'm just going to go get GIS data for everywhere that every student has gone through and then post that, and then
right,
you know, and then be like, it's right here, because you know, this is stuff that, you know, you get.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
All right, I can dig around on that as well.
Okay.
I kind of like doing it myself just because it's kind of fun to see, you know, to break down a little space and kind of do greater detail, but it's nice to have the backup of, you know, the that other material.
Yeah, for sure. And it's good learning, especially if you ever want to do it for anybody else.
Yeah.
That's how you learn.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Indeed.
Sure. Cool.
And then on the final project, that first slide, it's like so we're just copying over what we did previously, and then we embellished below that. Is that kind of how that was set up? I've just started looking at it in terms of, you know, past that first small section of local.
Okay. I'm just getting some notes in there. Can you hold on 1 second? The tea timer's going off.
Yeah.
Okay. Load. Okay. Okay, so the concept plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how to go onto a different screen, so I'm not even going to try that. But I think the first page slide says like existing plan or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So are we copying over? I'm just, you know, when it says existing plan, is that our?
Oh, no, what?
I understood it as that the base map that you already created that's at your property. Yeah, basically what copy paste what you already done with the base map.
Yeah. And
then that's generally I wanted to go back and I always want to double check the original template, because sometimes I'll say something I'm like, oh, that's what I was assuming. There's your network survey concept plan. Yeah. So
actually, yeah, it's a good point. I was going to ask. If I go and make changes to the base map that I created in the first few lessons, is it like, do I need to change everywhere that base map, or it's okay if I change it and use this changed base map in the last this plan, because like I've noticed a few things that we added some beds, for example, gardening beds. Something changed along during the 6 months.
I think given the amount of time you've got left, and also just like the reality, I think I would change it at the beginning. Change it, where it makes the most sense. Make a note of it, and then use the best version you've got in the concept plan. And then if you want to just I'm not going back and remarking things unless there's like a huge difference, like you really, there's a bunch of slides that you really hadn't touched at all. I'll go back and remark those. But at this point, just use the best plan you've got. But don't worry about updating it all through the report.
Okay.
So, well, because I sort of see this as like kind of our school workbook, like we're learning as we're going through it, and we just sort of get better and better. By the end of it, we know more. When you use this kind of template, though, for, say, if you were doing it for someone else, I just how do you trim it down? Because there is a lot of there's a lot of repetition that I think maybe that somebody, I mean, you wouldn't give somebody that whole thing, right? Would you? Or
no, there's a lot of the SWOT analysis would probably come out. Stuff like the local network survey would probably get incorporated into the basically the sector compass, like where there's that one section where they're looking for I can just describe it. They're looking for like local grocery stores, gas stations. I would just basically include another sector compass. Oh, you found that old picture of me. That's hilarious.
Right.
The science and permaculture. That's really
I
funny.
looked at that. I had to put that in there because I saw that and thought, wait, I know her.
Yeah, that's really funny. I can tell you all about that picture. That's funny. I would include, like, there's a lot of things that I would, I think most of us would include with other elements. So there would be
Just
a lot
consolidate.
of condensing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, a 40 to 50 page report is definitely not unheard of.
Right.
But it's also got a big price tag. Like, this would be like, I want to say I wouldn't get off the ground for like $15,000 to $25,000 for this level of design, like and depth, because there's so much information packed into this. I mean, this is almost going into like market research. Well, for like to do this level of work for this amount of work for a client, like there's some of the basics you could pull out and do more like a more basic overview for like 5 to 10. But honestly, like the amount of work that goes into the template and building this, I mean, partly the work is because you're doing it for the first time.
Right.
But yeah, there's definitely some pieces that could get scaled back. The climate survey is pretty solid as it is.
Well, it's not those data sectors. It's more just, we take the base map and then we keep doing, microclimates, which I think that makes sense. I just feel like I'm doing just minor tweaks on the same thing over and over. And I didn't know if that becomes confusing to somebody, or if that is really what you give. And really at the end, those are all just slotted pieces that culminate in the final one. So you do put those all in. But really when somebody's going through it, they're looking at it, but ultimately they go to that last section to really see what the final plan is. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of reference back and forth, because the base map is like, okay, here's where we're at. These are,
right.
It gives you those conditions, and you need to keep referring back to that. So you need to have the base map pretty solid.
Right.
Otherwise, when you start going out to buy plants or like spacing or, fencing, whatever. It's like, oh, my base map said this was, 50-foot line and it's actually 55 and I'm short material, whatever. You too many trees, not enough trees. But
Gotcha.
so having that base map as a really solid part, and then just continually referring back to that of like, these are the microclimates, these are this is what you have to work with, and then you start pulling it all together in the final design.
All right.
Is really something that we would lay out for a client, like pretty step by step, because otherwise they jump to the final concept map and, oh, this looks awesome, and not really having an understanding. Like, well, let's just put the blueberries over where the artichokes are supposed to be, something, and
Gotcha.
not understanding
Yeah.
that there's an underlying.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So.
Okay, lots of work to do.
Yeah, you guys have made it all the way through. I'm super impressed.
What's the attrition rate? What's the attrition rate on this kind of class?
Oh, Javin and I have talked about this, and Javin and Andrew have had a lot of conversations, and it seems to be very standard, about 30%. Which kind of surprises me that someone would pay like that much for a course, and then some people just literally never show up. Life happens. Some people re-enroll.
Yeah.
I had one person that re-enrolled and then they dropped off entirely, I guess. I've seen their name has been crossed off on my list. Not by me. There's kind of a shared spreadsheet that Dow keeps track of everybody. Yeah, it seems to be about 30%. We lost a few in this course. Like the one guy in Washington, or who was looking at that property in Washington.
Yeah, sure.
Kevin, right?
Yeah, I think he's going to be re-enrolling when he finds a property, but that kind of, I feel bad. It kind of crushed him. Like, that was really bad news. But
actually, I think it was great, because he would probably have bought that property if it hadn't been for the fact that he had taken this class.
Right. So it's a great testament, and the neighbors are probably all right that it's never done that in 30, 50, however many years, but not a risk. So yeah, I think he'll be re-enrolling. So some of that attrition is like people that just like life got in the way, somebody, COVID happened, somebody wound up in the hospital, and merging all of this with like work and kids and an existing farm is really hard, and it's hard to know going into it how intense it's going to be. And everybody's at different skill levels, so generally about 30%.
There have been a couple of those nights where I'm typing. I'm like, I'm so tired. I have to get this done. I'm like, oh my God, it's like I'm 18 again. So
it feels like
great. All right. Well, that's great. I'm going to press on through. Thank you so much. And thank you for solving one of my biggest frustrations, was that stupid elevation thing. Oh my God.
Oh, I'm sorry it took so long. Yeah, that's a bummer, but you got it solved.
And I knew it was going to be some stupid little thing. It's never like it's not Google Pro, it's me. So anyway.
and Google Earth has had that history of like, it would do something, and then in the upgraded version it doesn't do that anymore unless you pay for it.
Right. Yeah.
So stuff tends to go behind paywall, not come back out. So unfortunately.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
I have a quick question. Sorry, I know that can we stay for just like a second? I have a Susan about actually going to Linda's question about us who kind of thinking it as a job. Are we going to have any recommendations how to find client, or like what next steps we can do? Because like, or we just like go with the flow, and I don't know. No, it's a little bit scary.
I hear you. Actually, my other cohort was just asking about that on their last call. So I'm open to holding something like that. I could see if some of the other instructors are open to having kind of a round table.
Okay.
I don't know what their yeah, I think kind of everybody's crunching on time at a certain point. You just kind of have to jump into it. But yeah, I'll ask if you're interested in like, there's always like, oh, you could do further training. Eric Olson's Eco Landscape Mastery School is an online program, and he does, I think you've got 2 years to earn your certificate. I didn't actually, I kind of skimmed through the program. I was already feeling okay, like I was getting the clients I wanted, but also realizing I don't want to become a landscaper. So but there's a lot of like very, very practical business kind of step-by-step in there. And you can actually become a certified eco landscaper through that program. But it's it's another like 2K, I think, is what, if he's still running it. I'm not sure actually that he's still active with it. But yeah, we could definitely do another Zoom call. I'll have to talk to other folks and see if they want to do that or if I should just host it. It's nice to hear, like Neil and Javin and I know Mariska, who just joined, all have very different experiences in working with clients. Like, yeah, just the way they go about things and the type of clients they attract and stuff. So it's interesting to see, different perspectives. But
I mean, it would be really helpful, and I think that some students will be interested in that. But of course, I understand it's like if you don't have it, I guess it's for that there is a purpose and there is another purpose. But and I understand that this course is not enough, and we need to keep learning, kind of, if we want to continue as a profession, like if we want to have it as a profession. But I just wanted to know like what we have at the moment here.
I think. Yeah, it is. I mean, and we all say that like a PDC is a great place to start and a terrible place to finish, which scares me. But we're seeing a lot of PDC grads coming out, and they're like, oh, "I'm a certified permaculture designer." I'm like, "Yeah, that's great," and like, like kind of have to ground that into kind of like where you are, either in like your farm experience journey or your like landscaping journey or design, whatever.
I kind of, for myself, I feel like this is just the start to give the foundation. Now I actually need to physically implement it and use sort of my own trial and error to kind of develop my own personal experience. I definitely wouldn't feel comfortable telling somebody else what they should do, except in terms of water flow and that. I feel really comfortable about that. But in terms of everything else, I don't, I just feel like I'm going to work on my own space so that I can have an example of what works and what doesn't work, and kind of learn through my own trial, my successes and failures.
Yeah, and understanding what your risk tolerance is and how to manage clients' risk tolerances. Like, there's also just the legalities and stuff. I mean, I took my first PDC in 2012, so just a little over 10 years ago. I've taken a couple others since then. I've participated and taught in a few others. And yeah, I'm still like, well, I can tell you what I know and what I've learned from being in like communities and stuff. The one thing I would say is if you're thinking of going into more like farm design, Darren Dougherty's Regrarians program is really solid.
Who's this, Darren?
Darren Dougherty. He runs the Regrarians community on it's a workplace. And it's a membership based community, and I think the lowest tier is like $10 a month, and then the planner membership is $95 a month. But they do a 14-week farm planning program. That's excellent, but it's really geared more towards like, I would say even like 5 acres and up. But that's a really good next step if you want to go like more broadacre stuff. If there's anybody in the world that is like certified yeoman's like keyline design, this is where I would go. Mark Shepard has a lot of material out. He just published this Water for Any Farm. Yeah. And then Acres USA actually just published his Water for Any Farm engineering manual. And it's kind of sad because from what I understand from this like back and forth kind of behind the scenes, like a lot of that material has come, it's kind of skewed. There's something, I'm not familiar with it, but I know Darren and Mark have like had at it a long time. Darren worked a lot with the yeoman's family to make sure that he was getting that key line education, like kind of straight from the source.
Yeah.
And Mark kind of interpreted it and adapted it in ways that didn't really need adapting because it just didn't. Yeah. Anyway, so I see a lot of people like, I mean, maybe I shouldn't even say this on recording, but I don't recommend Mark's work. I just don't. I would always say go to Darren's work because I know he worked with the yeoman's family to get it right.
Yeah.
And the people that he's got doing like the 3D design, like all of the georeferencing and everything are really solid in their skills. And yeah, so, and
but you're saying he's really more for like an actual farm, 5 acres or more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you stepping that back a little bit to more like, like most of us, with the exception of maybe Kelly, who's a full-on farm, that there's some reference to the food forest class or food island class.
Oh yeah, there is.
Is that a better, like, what's the best?
I haven't gone through that curriculum. I don't actually really. I know a little bit about. That is Marisha Auerbach.
Mhm.
I don't know her personally. I know her through the Permaculture Women's Guild. I've got respect. Like I respect her work and like her stance. I've never seen anything untoward about her or about her work. I think she's got a ton of experience. So if you're really interested in like delving deeper into food forest stuff, I think it's probably a worthwhile course to take. And I mean, I know Andrew's background and Andrew's work, and I think he's got a very high standard of work that he, supports and promotes and stuff. So I'd be very surprised if it was anything less than the standard of like this course. So if you're happy with this course, then I think I would, and you want to learn more about food forest kind of in like a deeper level, then I would probably go for it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I think that might be a better fit than I mean, it's always good to touch on a lot of different areas to kind of take the best bits of information, but I feel like that might be the right thing for my size space or most of us.
Also that course, I checked it and it's kind of yourself, you can choose a self-paced and it's not as long as this one. So it's kind of more and relaxed and just if you don't want to read the book, I think the books on food forest because there are so many of them, and we already know this tutor and she's really great. So I was thinking to take that course.
Yeah,
because that would be great for your property as well. I mean, it fits a lot. It fits almost all of us, in this particular thing. So okay.
There are a lot of books on forest on food forests, edible forest gardens, Eric Toonsmeyer.
I think my hardest problem is finding, and maybe this is me being lazy, but it's like I want to be spoon-fed the information based on my exact area, versus I had gone to that, it's called the UC Master Classes. I think they're all over California, where it's a group of like gardening people, and they're like, they get this title of master gardener or something like that, and then they speak. And it's great, but I went to it in San Luis Obispo, and it's really only for that exact area, that climate, and their climate is a little different than mine. So, and everybody that was there was probably within 15 minutes of that, the meeting place. So, and there wasn't anything like that here. So, I don't have, if I lived over there, then I would have somebody that's spoon feeding me exactly what I needed for my area. And I haven't found that here. So that's just me being lazy.
No, I mean, it's nice to have, it's nice to have local knowledge. It's nice to have a community
Yeah.
to learn from what's worked, what hasn't. Yeah, it's a bummer. There's no.
Yeah,
if
so
there isn't a
that
local
particular
group.
program, which I think is probably great, I think somebody else in there, maybe Melanie had mentioned going, somebody had mentioned it as well. And it's great if it's in your local area. We just don't happen to have it, half hour away because the climate is different once you cross those hills. So,
Yeah,
I just have to find, I mean, our local nurseries are great and that, but, I just have to develop a greater knowledge of gardening.
yeah.
in
Sometimes it's
general.
just piecing together. The other thing
Yeah.
you can do is you can go to your, when you go back and look at your Cope and Geiger classification, find what we call climate analogs. So other regions that have that same classification.
Okay.
And I don't know, maybe the resolution isn't high enough that, like Slow and Itasca, like that they show up differently. But you can see, if they do, then find other areas that have that same classification and see what they're doing. And it's same. It's not going to be perfect. There's always going to be, site specific and even and regionally specific factors. But it might give you some ideas.
Right.
For what to do differently. So.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Have a great
Thanks.
day, both of you. Great week.
I too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, and I will let you know about another call about business stuff. I would love to see all your faces again. I don't want to send your last call.
Aw, thank you.
So I think I'll probably do like a wrap up, bring, BYOB call or something. That's
Yes.
always fun.
All right. Sounds
Okay.
great. All right.
All
Take
right.
care.
Have a good week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.